Here we are, Chicago Marriott downtown. We got an audience here. How about some applause? No, nothing? Okay, good.
A two-person audience.
Two-person audience, which is two more than zero. So here we are. You can see behind us, we're here in the lobby. It's been mostly vacated. But we're going to keep the bar open. We're going to go late tonight. Adam Biggers right here. That's him. I'm Ryan Schuiling. This is the Great Lakes Divide, and this is our first podcast. We're live in Chicago. Went to Big Ten Media Days today. Of course, we'll be here tomorrow for Michigan State. But today, the primary focus was Michigan. And before we get to all that, I'll preview a little bit. Talked to Jim Harbaugh at length. Got a lot of good sound from him. We have sound bites, not only that from the presser in the main setting, but also in the breakout pressers. With all that audio for you up at Great Lakes Divide, our website, which you can check out online. You can follow us on Twitter and on Facebook at GL Divide. So remember that, if you will. And some interesting interaction with Jim Harbaugh. I was in attendance for the individual breakout session with Karan Higdon, running back for University of Michigan. Looking over the other side of the football, Chase Winovich. Adam was there for that. We'll get his thoughts on Chase, on Michigan's place in the Big Ten race in the East Division. Heard from James Franklin today as well. Big personalities with him, and also Scott Frost, newly installed at Nebraska. And actually his gaggle, media gathering around him at the individual breakout presser was larger.
Yeah, probably like twice of Harbaugh's first year, probably. I would guess.
Really? His first year?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I would think so. Or at least, it was at least that. If not twice. So.
Yeah, we're going to get into all that.
A lot of interest in Scott.
We got to start here with a friend of Adams from
the program,
friend of the program, friend of the podcast.
Let me take this one.
Go ahead.
So for all of you guys who followed me when I was writing for FanRag and Bleacher Report, I thank you. And I think it wasn't really a habit, but it was more of a thing. I like real reporting. I like real stories. I like real things. And a lot of people would come to me with chat sports. Blabber. Right. James Yoder, Grant Newsome just put him on blast. James Yoder, if you're watching, hello.
Hi, James. How's it going?
Not well for him, I'm sure. I think I've told you guys for like 3 years, chat sports is just clickbait BS. I was going to
keep it clean.
I'm trying to, because Doyle's looking at
7:30 in the Central Time Zone.
Doyle's looking at me right now. He's like, please don't say all
that. Is he
that.
our executive producer over
there? Or he's at least a censor.
No,
at least. So, okay, guys. Anything they hear from James Yoder, James has no credentials. He has never had a Michigan game. He's never had a press conference. He is not here at Big Ten Media Days in Chicago. I don't know what else to say other than...
Wait, Adam. He claims on his Twitter bio, hold on. No, it's capitalized.
I know.
The Michigan Football Insider and CEO of Chat Sports Live Shows. Right here, it's on his Twitter bio. Therefore, it must be true.
It's funny.
Must be true.
It's comical to me. And if you guys follow any Michigan football players, Grant Newsome pretty much put James on blast. A recruit put James on blast for saying that James had reported that the recruit had canceled an official visit. The recruit said, well, really, did I have an official visit? But that's it. So we're gonna keep it short and sweet.
No, wait. Let's get in a little bit. I'm gonna go there. Okay,
well, you can go there.
We're gonna go good cop, bad cop.
Matt Charbonneau, do you want to join us or no?
I think he's had a few too many. He just told us that.
He's got some children with him. So.
We're keeping it PG-13.
But first of all, let's get the backstory here, Adam, before we get into the devil of the details of this tweet that put Yoder on blast from Newsome. Grant Newsome is an inspirational story. This is a guy that's had a nerve problem. Yeah. It's a nebulous issue. You don't know when or if he's going to recover from it, if he'll ever play again. So you've covered Michigan football for some time.
Grant, and I'll say this: Grant's very much. I'm trying to find the right word. If Grant runs for office, Grant Newsome has my vote.
Oh. That's an endorsement.
Oh, absolutely.
You just gave a political endorsement in our first podcast.
Absolutely. To Grant Newsome, I would. Grant Newsome is one of those guys. He gets it.
Yeah.
Grant Newsome. How many other words can you say it? He knows the score. He gets it. Very, very intelligent guy. He plays football very well. That was secondary. If you ever, and I think I could speak for a lot of Michigan media, if you've ever interviewed Grant, you've ever had any interaction with him, you know that he is much more than a football player. incredibly intelligent guy.
What about the nature of his injury, though, that led to him, of course, being on the outside looking in?
He could have lost his leg.
Right.
It could have resulted, I mean, if it would have gone further and untreated, it could have resulted in amputation, maybe death. I mean, it was a serious injury. Earlier today, Jim Harbaugh said that he's optimistic that Grant. If you want my opinion, I don't think we'll see Grant Newsome play again. I don't think we'll see Grant Newsome play football again. That's my opinion. I'm not saying that I have any inside source or anything like that. That's my opinion because of the nature of the injury. I would be shocked if we saw Grant Newsome.
But I mean, he's still going to have a role in the program.
Oh, absolutely.
He's going to have, we hope, a productive life where he recovers as far as he needs to in his regular everyday living.
No question.
But playing football is another matter.
And you know what? And Jim Harbaugh, and the videos on my YouTube channel, you guys go check that out. Jim Harbaugh seemed optimistic. It's a nerve injury, so it's very much. I mean, it's touchy, for lack of a better term. It's touchy. Literally, it's touchy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's get to the tweet here now. So Grant Newsome, this is him, tweets out the following, and we were just talking about this at Big Ten Media Days. Jim Harbaugh gave us a little bit of an update and insight to it. Grant tweets, "Can someone update me on my medical status? I heard medical and reporter guru James T. Yoder had the breaking scoop, but he blocked me so I can't see it. Was hoping to find out how my recovery is going and maybe also the next Powerball numbers. Thanks in advance, James." Now, a couple of things to take away here. Yoder blocks Grant Newsome, and he's the Michigan football insider? What kind of universe does one live in where you block a guy that you just described, upstanding citizen, Michigan man through and through, harrowing injury, we're keeping tabs on that, but Yoder blocks Newsome? How and why?
Well, I think James Yoder he's not here. He has no credentials. I don't know what else to say other than there are people on the internet that want attention. James gets attention. Chat Sports Sports gets a little bit of hits.
Really?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
they do.
Well, this is some negative heat then.
Well, it's lowest common denominator.
There you go.
BS.
Low hanging fruit.
Oh, absolutely.
Grant Newsome wasn't done though. Here we go. Continuing, he says, "Also heard from my own inside source that you can't even hear the audio in the second half of the video. Sad. Guess we'll have to rely on actual reporters for the scoop from now on." Now, that might be part of the story. The next part is even sadder because James Yoder comes back to the till to a guy that he had blocked on Twitter, presumably unblocked him, and says the following: "Wait, the report is great news. Best of luck, Grant. I just wish you nothing but the best." This is a guy you blocked, dude. You blocked him.
You blocked him.
And now you're coming back to the till. Oh, Grant, I wish you nothing but the best. Come on.
And guys, I've told you this several times. I have real communication with the University of Michigan. James Yoder has no credibility. He will never get a credential. He is not recognized by Michigan whatsoever. So whatever he tweets, says...
But again, look, the Michigan Football Insider. I don't know if you can read that on there or not, but that's what it says right there. It's a capital. If it's in capitals, it must be true.
Well, and you know, it's funny because Yoder tweeted me. He must be watching. Said, "Don't make me tweet out voicemails." Yoder offered me a job. We discussed it. I said, if you want somebody credible, if you want somebody who actually make Chat Sports a somewhat legitimate outlet. So, James, please tweet out those voicemails. I would love it. I would love it.
I guess, again, I'm trying to reconcile.
But this podcast isn't going to be about Yoder. This podcast is going to be about Michigan at Big Time Media Days. We're having a little bit of fun with it though because it is funny, and I think that a lot of people out there, if you know who's really covering what team, if you really know who's talking to who, then you recognize it. But
well, I mean, just break it down this way. Are you going to believe or side with James Yoder or Grant Newsome? If Grant himself hadn't tweeted this out, this wouldn't have been a topic of conversation. But when you and I saw this before we went on, it's like, this is news. Grant's talking about this.
And Yoder wasn't even a topic. I mean, I know they talked about me in some videos. Somebody told me about it. They tweeted me. I didn't watch it. So I'm glad that I'm on your mind, James. I appreciate that.
You were always on my mind.
I know.
Right.
But when Grant Newsome calls you out, and when another recruit calls you out, a previous recruit says that when James Yoder reports that he canceled an official visit to Michigan, and the kid tweets him and says, I was not aware that I had an official visit to Michigan. And
I guess you're an insider when you're breaking news to the person who you're breaking the news on, who doesn't even know about it himself.
If I'm Grant Newsome, I'm reading these tweets, I'm like, God damn, am I really, holy, man, this Yoder guy is like way ahead of like anything really. If I'm Grant Newsome, I got to tweet James Yoder and thank him for breaking the news about my health. I really do.
And he did ask for Powerball numbers
he
too.
did.
So maybe he's got those. Maybe he's clairvoyant.
1, 2,
maybe
3,
he's
4,
like a Ouija board.
5, 6.
Like, I don't know. Maybe he's just ahead of the curve. I don't know.
It maybe is.
Anyway, so
maybe he's not.
Once again, Great Lakes Divide Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at GL Divide, also on Facebook at that same handle. We'll have much more content. We have audio clips from the press conferences earlier today. Adam and myself participating in those. So 7 of the coaches went today, including Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, James Franklin at Penn State, Scott Frost from Nebraska, Jeff Brom from Purdue. We'll see Mark D'Antonio, Michigan State tomorrow.
Chris Ash from Rutgers. Everybody forgets Chris Ash.
And PJ Fleck.
Sorry.
PJ Fleck.
PJ,
from Minnesota, right? Pat Fitzgerald, Northwestern.
Yeah. What is
Skyuma.
I always say Skyuma.
Skyuma, which follows Row the Boat. Which, I mean, if you stand there, you'll hear every single sports cliche you've ever listened to in your life in rapid succession.
PJ's and he's great at it. PJ's great at it.
I say that with love because
he's a motivator.
I've covered PJ back to his initial days at Western Michigan, so he took that job. And everybody looked at PJ like he's just kook coming out of the woodwork like a flake. He didn't know what he was doing. He's all rah-rah. He's a former player. He's row the boat. There's no boats involved with Broncos and horses. What's this all about? And he takes over a program that had been left basically in the dust. There was nothing in the cabinet. He cut a whole bunch of guys loose. He looked at the program and said top to bottom, I want guys that want to be here. He purged it of a lot of guys that ended up, some had legal problems. Others didn't want to commit to his vision or of the program or anything else. So he goes ahead and flushes everything out that isn't going to be there for him.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We're already getting some play. I'd pay to see this deathmatch style. Mac at Go Blue. Yeah, man.
Okay,
and,
that's fine.
But I want to say hello to Aaron Wise. Aaron used to watch the podcast all the time, live streams. Aaron, thank you.
Aaron.
PJ's intense. He said if the dude got the chance to coach a large, high-caliber program, I think he'd do quite well. I mean, Minnesota, it's a big-time program. I know where you're going with large, high-caliber. If we're saying, like, hey, if we saw PJ at USC, if we saw PJ at Michigan, if we saw PJ at, Florida State or something, I get where you're going. But right now, Ryan, you've had some interactions with PJ. You've covered Western.
Well, that's the thing. I've watched his ascent, and you see, it's one of those, you go back to the old saying, it's so crazy it just might work. That's what happened with PJ Fleck at Western Michigan, and you can knock it all you want. You could say it's shtick. You could say, it's over the top. You could say he's phony, and all of that may have various shades of truth to it, but the bottom line is it works, and if his players buy in, this is what's going to happen and propel him down the track of success with Minnesota. Now, he point blank came out today. I think he's in the middle. It's interesting. He called last season year 0, not year 1. Year 0, meaning this is year 1, and he's rebooting the franchise. It really is kind of like a Minnesota 2.0 from the Jerry Kill, Tracy Claeys era.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to have to get his own guys in. There are young guys at all the skill positions, basically, especially on the offensive side of the ball. This is a rebuilding year for Minnesota. It wouldn't surprise me if they're toward the very bottom of the West Division standings, but that's not an indictment necessarily on PJ Fleck, because you buy in to his vision, to his message, to the program that he's looking to build, and it's going to take time. And he said it himself at the podium today. He's not looking to buy time or to get an extension or whatnot, but you have to either believe in what he did at Western Michigan or you don't. Minnesota obviously does. I do. And it might not be this year, but you look to next year, look to the year beyond that, and see the ascent of the program and whether or not there's tangible progress. I'm betting dollars to donuts that there will be. And PJ's a guy you got to kind of ride out the storm with, and that's what Western Michigan benefited from.
I want to get to some comment real quick. Aaron Wise, and Aaron, thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. He says, Minnesota has always been a bigger school, but never know what kind of team you'll get year after year. Yeah, it's glad to see you back at the grind, man. Looking forward to more podcasts throughout the year. Aaron,
This guy.
Aaron, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. There will be plenty of podcasts and all of you guys who watch the live streams after the Michigan games, and I try to do a lot throughout the week. So definitely getting back to that. Ryan and I, basically, I mean, if you look at a team, I mean, that's what it is. So follow us at
like
GL,
Tango and Cash.
Tango and Cash.
Cato and Nash.
Okay.
Tenacious D. Whatever you want to call
Whatever
it.
you want to call it. Follow us on Twitter at GL Divide. Follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81. You can follow Ryan on Twitter at Ryan Schuiling. That's SCHUILING.
Look at this guy. He's spelling Dutch here at this late hour. What are you doing?
I
love this guy.
Thank you.
He's good.
Thank you.
But before we get to Harbaugh, a couple other notes that stood out. I want to get your thoughts too, Adam. So we talked PJ Fleck in Minnesota. You know, I'm always impressed by Pat Fitzgerald and Northwestern, the program that he's running. You know, I talked to Jack Doles, a longtime mentor, friend of mine from West Michigan. He's the sports director at Wood TV 8. His son Tommy is an offensive lineman for Northwestern, might be an NFL prospect coming out of this year as well. And the Clayton Thorson question is the biggest one coming into this season. We know he suffered the injury a year ago. What's his rehabilitation looking like? What's his comeback looking like? I think that will dictate a lot in terms of what Northwestern's able to do in competing in the West Division this year, with Wisconsin as a prohibitive favorite. But year after year, you know Pat Fitzgerald is going to put together a team that ultimately is playing better at the end than it is at the beginning. Just ask Michigan fans or Michigan State fans going back to a year ago. I think the key this year, as opposed to the last 2 years, Adam, they've gotten out of the gate real slow. 2 years ago, they lost to P.J. Fleck in Western Michigan.
Right.
Last year, they lost out of the gate. They were stumbling around, and they got it together. But
like two and three.
Exactly. Can they put it together early? Well, they're going to be tested. They're going to be at Purdue in week 1, and that's a team under Coach Braun that's improved by leaps and bounds in just one season. That's an intriguing opening weekend matchup. Conference game for Northwestern on the road against a team that's going to be tough to beat.
Absolutely. And I mean, if you look at Northwestern football, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of a Northwestern football fan, or somebody who went to Northwestern, or I mean anybody. I don't think you can ask for a better coach than Pat Fitzgerald.
No.
Class act all the way around.
And think about this too, just real quick. You got 3 guys now, to my knowledge, off the top of my head. Pat Fitzgerald was a linebacker for the Big Ten champions in the mid-'90s with Gary Barnett. Scott Frost, of course, quarterback, Nebraska, now the head coach there, led them to a portion of a national championship.
You have former Big Ten elite athletes.
And Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
3 of them.
3 of them.
For their teams, for their alma maters.
Right, and I mean, that has to excite you. If you're a Northwestern fan, Pat Fitzgerald has to excite you. If you're a Nebraska fan, Scott Frost has to excite you. If you're a Michigan fan, Jim Harbaugh has to excite you. I said fight you.
He might fight you.
He might.
If you're Jim Schwartz.
He might fight you. Or I mean, hey, if you saw the way he looked at DJ Durkin a couple of years ago after the Maryland game,
right?
I mean, I thought he wanted to.
Yeah.
I thought he wanted to throw some hands right there. Intent to deceive. One of my favorite Twitter followers ever. He says,
Nessie.
He says, I think Dad has a squad this year. That's what I took from their collective attitudes today. And when he says Dad, he's talking about Jim Harbaugh.
Right, yeah.
And look, Nessie, my intent to deceive. My only question is offensive line, quarterback play. I know, and if we want to talk about, I might just go do a solo on Shea Patterson, Brandon Peters.
A soliloquy?
A soliloquy.
Shakespearean?
A solo episode.
Are you going to stand up and deliver? Is there going to be a spotlight coming down?
I'm just going to...
We don't have the equipment for that.
We're going to write it out in calligraphy.
Okay.
With a...
Calligraphy? Okay.
Yeah, with a...
All right.
With like a bird feather pen. What are those called? Quill?
Wow, quill, yeah.
Quill
like
pen.
John Adams in the Constitution.
Yeah, I mean, I'm signing that. Okay. I'm signing that. If you guys have any questions, I'm monitoring
right now, live.
Aaron Wise says
Aaron Wise is blowing us up.
Aaron Wise, because he says Northwestern is another one of those schools, always solid, but never got over that threshold of winning the big.
Since 95.
Fun school to watch. Yeah, Darnell Autry. I remember that.
Oh yeah.
Fun school to watch and to play though. Yeah, and I mean, let's look at some of the Michigan State versus Northwestern. Those are unpredictable games.
Very.
Always. And Michigan State versus Northwestern, always one of the best Big Ten games.
And Michigan's got to go there this year to Evanston. And that's one of those lurking games on the schedule that you're like, yeah, you're focused on Notre Dame right now. We all know that, but it's not a walkover. Michigan struggled to take their show on the road, and everybody who follows the Wolverines knows this. Over the last decade, they haven't been the same team away from the big house. They've been at home. I asked Karan Higdon about that. I'll get to that answer in just a little bit. That's a tease. Continuing now with the podcast. But before we get like full-blown, knee-deep in Michigan here, I want to get your thoughts, Adam, real quick on Scott Frost and a comment he made in assuming the reins at Nebraska. And the question that I asked him, which again we'll have full audio, you can watch at Big Ten Network, etc., about Tom Osborne and that part of the equation. And he gave an interesting, insightful answer when I asked about his mentor, his coach, that he feels in recent years, maybe even over the last 20 years, they've gone away from Tom Osborne, from the tradition that made them Nebraska football, you know, the big time, the rivalry, the national brand. And a couple questions coming out of that is, one, why? Why would you ever go away from Tom Osborne thinking you could do it better? And then two, what is the challenge of Scott Frost coming to the table now, assuming the reins, a Nebraska program that's very much in the midst of a rebuild, in getting it back to what Tom Osborne had?
I mean, I think if you look at Scott Frost, it's a Michigan. It's Jim Harbaugh coming to Michigan for Nebraska.
Very similar.
I mean, not only very similar. I mean, it's an identical scenario in my mind. Scott Frost coming home to Nebraska, Jim Harbaugh coming home to Michigan. I mean, what else is there to say? The expectations are going to be very high for Nebraska football. I mean, when's the last time that we've seen a powerhouse Nebraska football program? Tom Osborne, Lawrence Phillips at running back.
Yep.
I mean,
Tommy Frazier. Back in the day. I mean, those are the names that come to mind. They competed for national championships. They were a national brand. Nebraska, Oklahoma was one of the big national rivalries, and he was asked about that today. And I think
Big Eight. Yeah.
That's the thing, is if Michigan's going to play a Notre Dame, which I think they should every year, Nebraska's got to play Oklahoma, don't they? All the history that's there to help kind of amplify their brand. Oklahoma, if you look at the Big Five right now of college football, it's absolutely in no particular order: Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and then probably Oklahoma and Georgia. Those five are a cut above right now, and I write about it in my initial entry at Great Lakes Divide, which you can find online. Again, follow on Twitter at GL Divide, on Facebook as well. But Scott Frost, again, in tapping into that legacy, says that Tom Osborne comes in once a week. He confides in him. He goes duck hunting with Tom Osborne. So, you know, these guys they're very, very tight. I think they're going to be very similar in overlaying philosophies. If you look at a Venn diagram, but it needs to be updated. Nebraska needs to have a more diverse offensive attack. I think that's held them back in recent years. But Scott Frost was a quarterback in this program. He was
just
a diverse
like
talent.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. When you look at the parallels, Scott Frost to Nebraska is what Jim Harbaugh is to Michigan.
It's almost identical. It really is.
I'm gonna get to a comment real quick. Aaron Wise says Frost hates U of M. Strap up the chin straps tight when we play. Nebraska will be significantly tougher in years to come. Aaron, I could not agree more with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, we see some big personalities when we talk about, you know, Pat Fitzgerald, the steady hand he's had guiding Northwestern. Scott Frost led off this entire day at the first of two Big Ten Media Days here in Chicago. PJ Fleck, there is no bigger personality than him.
There is
right?
not.
So we're seeing like this kind of like wonderkind of young guys, energetic, coming through.
I like the wonderkind. I like that.
Thank you. Right.
Yeah.
And then up steps, falling down, Michael Douglas, Jim Harbaugh with the Michigan cap and the glasses.
He has new glasses this year, though. They're different.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
but they're more like that.
They're not the Michael Douglas.
No?
Well, last year he compared to Michael Douglas, Malcolm X, Woody Hayes.
Right.
That was last year. This year, I don't know. I can't.
You didn't ask him about the glasses.
I did not ask him about the glasses. But if you guys check out the YouTube channel, there's 2 interviews with Jim Harbaugh. The one from the main press conference that was televised live on Big Ten Network. Yeah. And then the second is basically what they do. They'll break them off into a secondary room, podiums, and you'll go talk. So,
well, let's hold on and go to Gary White, Dream Weaver. So we're here in the outskirts of Aurora, Illinois with Wayne Campbell. We haven't been able to find him at Stan Mikita's. We're not worthy. Exactly.
Where's Garth?
Aurora, Illinois. Okay, Channel 10, right?
Okay.
So excellent, right?
Excellent.
So all of this, and you know, we're looking for the connection. And then Adam Biggers asked the question. And again, this is my guy right here, and he comes up in the press conference, and it was like a sight for sore eyes. Jim Harbaugh's kind of looking around. You get that stoic look. He's kind of focused. He's driven. He's binary code. He's black and white. He's looking straight ahead. Then he turns his glance, his visage, to Adam Biggers with a microphone, and there's this smile, this brightness, this warmth comes over his face, and I could feel the bromance, the emotions pouring out between you two, man. Like, he was really happy to see you. Well, he really was.
I respect Jim Harbaugh as a coach. I think that we're on the same page. I think a lot of times, and you guys who follow me and read my stuff, you know that there have been some long drawn out questions between Harbaugh and I, and sometimes it's like I'm like pulling teeth from this guy, but at the same time, I think there is a mutual respect and fairness, that kind of thing. So. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it.
Well,
but
let me ask you this.
It is true, though. I did see the look, and I acknowledged it.
He did. He smiled. He acknowledged you by name, and that's great because I think he knows. Here's the thing. We've talked about this before, you and me. The misperception on Harbaugh. Harbaugh is not about bluster. He's not braggadocious. He's not arrogant in the sense that I would say he's bragging about his program. He thinks he's better than everybody. That is not the vibe that he brings into a room. And people, I think, extrapolate what the media perception of his is, what Pete Feinbaum says about him.
Pete Feinbaum.
Pete. But Harbaugh he's unusual. He's odd.
He's a coach's coach.
Well, but he is binary code, black or white, robotic, input, output. You ask him X, he'll give you X. Yeah. He's not going to just go off, and give you this great answer. If you ask him a simplistic, narrowly targeted question, he's going to give you a simplistic, narrowly targeted answer.
Harbaugh has always been like this. Harbaugh can read people.
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt. And like I said, if you guys have followed me and you guys see sometimes there's long, drawn-out questions, sometimes it feels like I'm pulling teeth. If he senses there's a genuine interest, if he senses, okay, is there genuine intent, he can tell, just like earlier today, I forgot the guy's name from Spartans Wire.
Yeah, right.
A totally just...
Ask him about Ohio State, Michigan State.
But at the same time, the tone of it was very much trollish. It was not a constructive question. Okay, yes, Jim Harbaugh is not beating rivals. He struggled against Michigan State and Ohio State. We know that. But the way that it was worded was, I think it was a little disrespectful.
Well, I think it was trying to bait him, maybe.
Oh, absolutely.
And he is, I think, in those press conference settings, he's playing a game of chess.
Aaron Wise says the loaded ass question. Aaron, you heard it.
It was loaded, but it was slanted and
very slanted.
It was trying to almost like setting a trap. For Jim Harbaugh.
But at the same time, because it was so front loaded. The hype you entered with so much hype.
The hype, right?
And that right there, Spartans Wire, and when he's saying you enter with so much hype, I automatically could tell what direction that was going.
And so could Jim.
Okay, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh is not stupid, and I think that he does. I think that sometimes that people kind of look at him. Yeah, he'll daze off on a question. Yeah, he'll
like zone in on
he'll answer your question if he thinks that it's worthy of answering.
Well, and it's not that you can't ask him, I think, a direct question fairly and but you're right. It is a jousting match where he's going to test or try to gauge whether are you coming correct,
right?
Are you prepared and informed in your question where you're coming from, and if he views that as kind of being a worthy adversary, I think he'll engage.
Right, if he respects your angle, if you're out here, and I hate to say it, I mean, there's Michigan State writers, Ohio State writers, and they kind of ask. The Ohio State writers were a little more tactful with it. I did hear one, I think he's from 11 Warriors, ask a similar type of question. But the guy from Spartans Wire, and I'm sorry, and if I knew your name, I would say it. I've never read your website, but today when I heard your question, it was very much trollish. It was very much. You came in with so much hype, maybe more than any, than 1 of 5 against your rivals. Blah blah blah. Okay, there's a different way to word that.
But let's
be respectful. Be a writer. Don't be a fan with a blog and out here rah 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 go team. If you're here and you're trying to cover something, be direct. Be unbiased, and objective. Write the truth.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Write the truth.
And the thing is with Harbaugh, again, I'll go to bat for him on this point, is the hype. Okay, where did the hype come from? Did Harbaugh generate the hype? Did he make promises and stake out, we're going to win national titles?
And Michigan fans, and you know it, you're watching Michigan fans, and you know it, you are 75% of the hype.
Well, it's them,
ESPN,
but it's not just them.
ESPN is 25% of the hype.
It's Pete Feinbaum.
And Pete Feinbaum. We know. Hey, we know his name's Paul. We do.
No, but here's the thing. It's like, again, Jim Harbaugh didn't come in himself. I'm isolating the channel to Jim himself. He didn't come in with pomp and circumstance like Randy Macho Man Savage and promising, we're going to win titles, and like spin around in the circuit, Elizabeth over here. He didn't do that. He didn't bring that on himself. He didn't set that bar. Now, he does quirky, weird things, but that's not to be conflated with some kind of empty promise of, we're better than Ohio State, we're better than Michigan State. You should assume that because I'm coming in and I'm the savior and I'm the Messiah and I'm going to make everything right. He didn't say those things. We in the media put those things on him, portrayed him in that light, saying this is the ultimate hire. This is, we bow at the altar of Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh himself had nothing to do with that. No, nothing.
No, he did not. And I completely agree. And if you guys don't watch this for me, and if you're former viewers of my, you got to at least watch for Ryan's vocabulary. At least watch for Ryan. I said Wyans. For Ryan's vocabulary.
No, but people know. I think even an honest, fair Michigan State fan, as much as they take glee in the downfall of Jim Harbaugh and in beating him, and in that particular weekend, October 20th, all Michigan State fans are looking forward to that and welcoming Jim Harbaugh with open arms to that rivalry game. But, you go to Jalen Watts Jackson, you go to a year ago with the weather, and there have been some, let's face it, there's been some really crazy things happening in this rivalry game.
Aaron Wise says he knew exactly what he meant, basically trying to embarrass him, going back to a question from Spartan's Wire, which I've never heard of. I mean, Wolverines Wire, USA Today, Isaiah Hole. Isaiah actually has credentials. He's been to events.
And he's here.
And so is Spartan's Wire. I don't know who Spartan's Wire is.
Right.
Jeremy Turner says, "What's going on, guys? Go Blue." Jeremy, thanks a lot for watching. Ryan's going to take this for a second. I'll be right back.
Okay, you got to take a break?
I do.
All right, okay, well, I'll handle it from here, and I'll tell you what I found out in my conversation with Jim Harbaugh today. It was interesting because he took the podium. So there's two sessions here. There's the main press conference in which it's more of a kind of setting that's dry. It's sterile would be the word I would look for. There's interaction, but it's not as intimate or as close quarters or as personal as the second session, which transpired after that, which is the breakout session. So now Jim Harbaugh will take to a table, and there's gathered media around him. There's cameras set up. There's local reporters, there's national reporters. I see Bill Bender from the Sporting News. I see Chris Ballas from Wolverine.com. All the people that typically cover Michigan, the Big Ten, the Upper Midwest, etc. And in that setting, I found it to be very interesting that Jim Harbaugh was holding court, and he was doing so in a way that it felt like at least he was energized. And he kept coming back to a couple of key points. And one of them that stuck out to me was he was just thankful for, it was almost like it was Thanksgiving, and we were at the Thanksgiving table with Jim Harbaugh. He was thankful that he had a job, that he had a season to look forward to. He was really full of perspective.
He mentioned that a couple of times about
there are other coaches
who don't have a season to prepare for. So
yeah, and I think he has got he gets it. You know what I mean? He knows where he's at, what the expectations are. He understands all that. He embraces that. He knows that. But he could be, he knows, in a far worse situation where he didn't have a season to prepare for, where some of the high school, college coaches, players that he knows, they don't have a season to look forward to. And like you said, Adam, he made that point a couple of times. But I got a Jim Harbaugh that seemed he hates the word comfortable, which he made.
He's told me that
hates the word comfortable.
In 2015, I think he told me that. So.
Is Jim Harbaugh secure enough? Let's put that word in there. In his own skin to know this is who I am, this is who we are, this is what the program is, And yeah, I would say answer yes. And it's the external perception of what the expectations are. And I know fans are frustrated. And if I was a Michigan fan, I'd be frustrated too. You were expecting things. This was Santa Claus coming to town. And he was going to give you all these gifts, and you haven't gotten them yet. But I don't think, again, that Jim Harbaugh was the one out there making all these promises and guarantees.
And I don't. I think a lot of it was Michigan media. I think a lot of it was Michigan fans. I think a lot of it was Michigan fan media, because there are a lot of fans in the media. And look, I'm not trying to discredit anybody. These guys do a good job. They're trying to provide information to Michigan fans. They're trying to give it to you guys the way that they think that you want to hear it. But at the same time, a lot of it, I think, was overhyped. And I'm not taking anything away from Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh is going to make Michigan great again. Is it going to happen right now? Look, he's in his 4th year. What do you expect? He's already had 2 10-win seasons. 8-5 last year. Okay, I understand. It was a disappointing season. At the same time, in 2016, he was literally inches away. Chase Winovich mentioned this earlier. The video's on my YouTube channel. Inches away from a playoff spot. If he would have made the playoffs in year 2, the perception, narrative, the whatever on Jim Harbaugh would be completely different. And we're talking about inches. We're this far away from people talking about Jim Harbaugh is he underachieving at Michigan? Or look, he made the playoff in his 2nd year at Michigan. He was this far away.
There was the spot against Ohio State.
JT was short, man. He was.
JT was short.
He was.
There was that. No, but wait.
Doyle, he was short.
No.
Doyle, he was short, man. He was short.
Fan reacting.
I know, he was short.
There's that.
JT was short. Aaron White, he was short.
Should have thrown those 2 interceptions.
JT was short.
MIC Brooke, I see you. Chase says trust the
They're reinforcing it. But there's that. But then also Jalen Watts Jackson. Imagine if that play doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Imagine if they just get that punt away. I mean, we're talking. It is a matter of inches, one play, but you know what, Adam? Let's be fair on the other side. Those plays happen. And 8-5 happened a year ago.
It did.
And so Michigan has not been able to find those inches, those yards, whatever that is, that barrier between where they are and where they want to be. And this kind of segues into my next point, because I want to get your thoughts on Chase Winovich. But what I observed today was gold from Karan Higdon. Or should I say Mays? Anyway, Mays. So Karan Higdon he blew me away. He's positive. He's a leader.
And who kept calling him Karen? I hate that. It's Karan. That was somebody.
I didn't do that.
No, not you.
Is that Yoder?
No. It was somebody. It was somebody kept asking about Karen. It's Karan.
Karen, what are you doing?
Karen.
I'm still gonna go out.
Karen.
Goodfellas reference. Okay, good.
No, it's Karan. But anyway.
Higdon, what was communicated to me...
Hold on. Jeremy Turner says, we're going to have a down year at some point. First 2 years were nice to get the program re-energized. 8-5 last year.
That was last year.
That was last year.
But no. But what Karan Higdon, again, communicated to me was he didn't shy away from any shortcomings the team had. He was very forthright in saying, look, we weren't well-conditioned enough. We fell apart in the 4th quarter of a lot of games. We fell apart late in the season. No better example. I watched this game with Doyle, the bowl game, the only Big Ten team to lose in their bowl game.
South Carolina.
To South Carolina. Mark D'Antonio's alma mater was Michigan. And Karan Higdon
how many points did they lead? 19.
He hasn't memorized.
I know. But 19-point lead. And you look, and final score, 26-19.
There you go. Higdon talked about a recommitment to the weight room, to the film room, to the practice field. He said there are leaders emerging on this team on the field that were not there even a year ago, and he's one of them. And he's one of these guys, what I love about Michigan, if you're a Wolverines fan right now, and I asked him this very question, again, we'll have the audio posted at various points on our website. If something's going wrong, if it's going sideways at halftime, whatever game that is, that's Michigan State, that's Notre Dame, that's Ohio State, whatever, who's going to speak up and be the voice in the locker room? Karan said, obviously, himself, but it's Chase Winovich.
And it's got to be Karan. It's got to be Chase. It's got to be Rashawn Gary.
And you know who else it's got to be? Shea Patterson. It's got to be the quarterback. Quarterback has to lead this team.
This is it's not guaranteed that Shea.
Oh, come on. You keep saying. You know you wrote an article about that.
It's not guaranteed.
Are you telling me right now that Brandon Peters is going to start against Notre Dame and not Shea Patterson?
I'm telling you that Brandon Peters has right now as good of a chance as Shea Patterson.
No! does
Yes,
not.
he does.
That is a hot take, sir.
It is not a hot take. Is
that a hot take?
It's logical. It's
Message
logical.
us right now if you think that's a hot take.
It's logical.
It might be logical.
It's logical.
Like left brain, right brain.
Okay, it's logical. And Aaron Wise, Jeremy Turner, they watched the podcast.
You know how many Michigan fans are jumping off the ledge right
that's
now?
Fine.
You tell them that Brandon Peters is going to beat out Shea Patterson?
I'm saying that it's not guaranteed that it's Shea Patterson.
It better be. Well, that's what I'm saying. Because Shea Patterson has to be the guy.
Okay, then how does that reflect on Michigan's coaching staff to A, recruit a quarterback, B, develop a quarterback, and C,
because it's
recruit and develop. It's A and B.
No.
So what does that say? If Shea Patterson as a transfer comes in and
like Jake Rudock.
Okay,
Jake Rudock.
But that was Harbaugh's first year.
Understood.
Okay.
But I don't think Peters is ready. I don't think it's his time yet. I'm not saying I'm ruling him out forever.
If you guys think it's Shea Patterson is
that may be a poll question.
Like that, yeah, we're gonna have to. And
it's got to be Patterson.
And honestly, Jim Harbaugh said that Dylan McCaffrey has shown the most improvement.
And that might be another guy.
And last year at this time, Dylan was actually ahead of Brandon Peters. He was during camp.
Well, what happened?
Brandon leapfrogged them. They're back and forth. But if you think
did Dylan take a single snap last year?
No, he did not.
Okay.
But if you think that Shea Patterson is a lock,
should be, needs to be. SEC transfer, Ole Miss, that experience,
I don't know.
starting in big games.
Everybody talks about
arm. NFL prospect, Heisman candidate. I'm being told.
My God, okay.
I'm being told these
17
things.
But they say 17 touchdown passes, 9 interceptions. I wrote an article on the Great Lakes Divide. Squarespace.com. Read my column because I cite Brandon's stats. And look, I'm not saying that Brandon Peters is going to beat out Shea Patterson. Shea transferred to Michigan for a reason.
Right.
But at the same time, if you think that Shea Patterson is a lock to be Michigan's quarterback this year, you are sadly mistaken.
Let me parse that comment what you just made. Is he a lock? No. Should he be? He has to be. If I'll tell you this, Michigan fans will agree with me.
But what about Brandon Peters?
If Brandon Peters is the quarterback and not Shea Patterson this year to start the season, Wolverines fans, you're in for a long year, and you know I'm right. You know that Shea Patterson has to be the guy this year.
For those who thought Brandon Peters was the guy when he was recruited, that's what I'm saying.
Ultimately, he still can be. I'm not ruling him out ultimately. I'm saying right now, I mean, this was the other part about Karan Higdon, the comment he made was, he wasn't sold on Shea Patterson coming in. He said he's got to come in here and prove it.
He had to practice.
He's like, I'm not just going to believe YouTube clips like Adam Bigger's channel that you're watching on right now, or his stats on a sheet against SEC competition. Higdon,
it was 17 touchdowns, but 9 interceptions, I think.
And again, in limited action, he got injured, so he comes in, he practices.
The play he got injured on, I think it was against Georgia. Correct me if I'm wrong. He threw an interception on that play that he was injured.
Well, and again, this goes to a broader question we'll explore in greater detail as we do more of the Michigan preview, which is their offensive line, which I think is a big question mark and concern.
Saying Shea with Dylan as a backup. Aaron, you're so quick to abandon Brandon Peters. I don't know why.
Who was it? Was it Yoder that said that one of them was transferring? Was it Peters?
Yeah, he said that Brandon Peters asked for a release.
Right. Okay.
Not true.
It's fake news.
Inside info, guys. Not true.
That's him right there. But what I'm saying is, again, if Michigan has hopes of a national championship, if Michigan has hopes of going to Indianapolis, if Michigan has hopes of even winning their division, it's got to be Shea Patterson under center. What I'm saying is, if the quarterback battle proceeds, and for whatever reason, Shea comes up short, that's a red flag. That is a big red flag.
I think it's a bigger red flag if Brandon Peters is not in the mix, because he was actually recruited by Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, ultimately, again, but I'm not gonna sit here and go, if Brandon Peters doesn't win the job this year, he's a failure.
Doyle's saying to wrap it up, guys. We're going on 44 minutes. Mike Zabrowski says and Mike, thank you for watching. No touchdowns to wide receivers after UC Cincinnati game last year.
That's a good point.
That has to change. Jeremy Turner says, I'm just hoping Shea can come in and have the similar numbers to Jake Rudock.
That's the model here, right? I mean, John O'Corn didn't work out, so 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Meatloaf said that.
Yeah, he did say that.
And exactly. So I know Harbaugh's in the midst of
He also said he'll do anything for love.
He would, but I won't do that. So Shea Patterson, again, I think I'm high on him. We'll have this conversation maybe in our next podcast. Obviously, we'll talk Michigan State tomorrow. But the Shea Patterson, Ryan Lewerke comparison and continuum.
You cannot compare Shea
Why
Patterson.
not?
Because.
Why not? Shea Patterson started SEC games against SEC competition. Okay. We're being told, again, I'm being told, that he's a Heisman candidate, right?
Yeah.
What? Why are you so down on Shea Patterson?
I'm not down on Shea.
It sounds like you are.
I'm not down on Shea Patterson. I'm up on the fact that Michigan has other quarterbacks besides Shea Patterson.
You're up on Brandon Peters? Did you watch the whole game?
I'm up on Brandon Peters. I'm up on Dylan McCaffrey.
I would have had Justin Doyle.
I'm up on potential. I'm up on potential. These guys.
You know what potential means? It means you haven't done it yet.
Okay. Well, guess what?
No, that's true.
Guess what?
That's true.
Okay. So I'm gonna at least close it with this comment.
Oh.
If a transfer quarterback has to come in and save Michigan's program, what does that say about Jim Harbaugh, a coach, a former quarterback, Michigan great, NFL quarterback? What does that say about the staff's ability to develop a quarterback? They got to go shop around and get another guy.
What do you? Another guy other than Harbaugh?
No, Shea Patterson.
I was gonna say that's your bromance, dude. You want to burn that bridge?
If you got to shop around to go get another quarterback that you can't recruit, Jake Rudock was different. Jake Rudock was first year.
I understand that.
Okay.
You're not wrong, but what I'm saying is I'm not gonna.
I'm right. I'm always right.
Well, no, wrong. But I'm not gonna indict Jim Harbaugh.
Aaron Wise, Mike Sobrowski, Jeremy Turner. If I'm always right, please thumbs up.
Thumbs down.
No, thumbs up.
I'm not gonna indict Jim Harbaugh, the program in total in year 4. Shea Patterson was brought in for a reason. He's an SEC quarterback. He is considered to be an NFL prospect at the highest level potential. First-round draft pick, a Heisman Trophy candidate. It's not an indictment because you bring a guy in like that. And if he's better than Peters this year, then absolutely you go with it.
Aaron Wise says, problem with Peters is he's not an athlete. Doesn't have the legs to save a play with a questionable O-line.
And that's the thing that Karan Higdon said as well, is that Shea keeps plays alive, and he's delivering dimes in camp.
I can understand that.
I'm just going up. Karan Higdon's there. We're not.
9 interceptions.
Because we're not allowed in practice.
Shea Patterson threw three or more interceptions in 2 games last year, guys. Brandon Peters threw, 2 interceptions last year? I'm just saying.
All right. Well,
I'm just saying.
That'll do it for now. We're live here at Chicago, the Marriott downtown. This is just day 1.
38 says, I hope Milton pans out. Joe Milton.
No, we hear good things about Milton.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But Joe, this is not Joe Milton's year.
Not this year, but he might be the one with the highest upside of anybody they have in the midst, including Dylan McCaffrey.
Aaron Wise says Dylan should have. And Mike Sobrowski says, agree with Adam. I want to see Dylan Harbaugh guy who is high and take the reins. Hey, guys, we really appreciate you watching. Follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81. Follow Great Lakes Divide at GL Divide, greatlakesdivide.squarespace.com. Follow Ryan Schuiling at Ryan. You got to spell that out.
Ryan Schuiling. He did the Dutch spelling earlier. I'll do it right now. At Ryan, SCHUILING. Again, live in Chicago, downtown. We're at the Marriott. That's what's behind us. We'll be back for day 2 coming up tomorrow, and we'll talk Michigan State football as Mark D'Antonio takes the podium. Have a great night, everybody.
Good job, guys.
Just had to show him a little.
That's good.
There.
That's good.
He said, Mike Sobrowski says, can't wait for more, guys. Can't wait for more. Thanks, guys. Aaron Wise says, wrong wording. Obviously, Peters is an excellent athlete with his legs. Hey, guys, we appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow. If you have any more comments, just comment. That's Doyle. Hey, Doyle. If you guys have any comments,
wrap it up already.
Tweet me, whatever.
Wrap it up.
Okay, we're done. We're done. Bye. Have a good night, guys. Thanks.